Well, welcome everyone. It is at the top of the hour. We appreciate you joining us and we look forward to a really informative, educational, and very inspirational hour ahead. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jen Ohlson. I'm the president and co-founder of Interactive Health Technologies. We began in 2011 with a vision to empower young people to take ownership of their health. And there's no program that is a better example of that than Lisa McVicker's. And I'm going to just introduce Lisa and kind of the incredible program that you have and that we're going to hear about in the next hour.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Lisa. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
No, you go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Just a quick introduction.
All right. I have been all around. This is my 10th year at Fossil Ridge High School. We're a comprehensive high school in Colorado, and we've tried to make it better every year, trying new things just to really engage. And obviously this year, 2020 has made us really up our game and change the way we think about how we do things. So it's exciting.
Appreciate you being on and being our expert speaker tonight. I'd also like to introduce Brandon Wolff. Brandon is our customer success manager and works with our teachers to help them optimize the system and get the most out of not just the technology, but all the curriculum resources we have. Brandon also directs our PYFP, Presidential Youth Fitness Program. We are the official software for PYFP, which is the Fitnessgram and Brockport testing, and also heads up our online department. So Brandon, you want to just kind of say a few words about your background as both a teacher and working for IHT?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm from Wichita, Kansas. I had taught middle school PE for almost 17 years. And I had used the IHT Spirit system and assessment software since 2015, every day with my students. And now I have the privilege to work with teachers on the IHT and assessment software and help them just gain a better understanding of how the system works. And plus also maybe some other ways that I can help them through any type of resources or type of curriculums, things that I've been doing with my middle schoolers. So just here to help the teachers and help myself grow and get better at getting kids to learn and be to be people that can be self-directed and self-directed learners. So yeah, I'm excited to be here today and go over just a little bit about the online resources that we have here at IHT.
Yeah, it's definitely unusual times for all of us. And so we have really put a huge effort in. We've already had a really good, the company started with a curriculum called PE3. And once we had the curriculum, it was so successful and really empowering students and connecting to teachers and getting parents involved. When we're based in Austin, Texas as a company, the Texas Education Agency, when we developed it for one high school, when I was doing a documentary, the Texas Education Agency said, Jen, this needs to be for every high school in Texas. This is the way PE really should be. It's about PE3 stood for P for the mind, body, spirit. So it was really an SEL, social emotional learning driven curriculum. So we kind of started the company with that. Once the curriculum went statewide here in Texas, I said, well, we need a way to measure this to really show the effectiveness, not just our curriculum, but to help teachers prove their program and drive their program forward with data, but connect in real time to the students. How do we really get the information into the students' hands in where they live, which is right here on their computer? So how do we connect their life with their health and their wellness, not just physically, but emotionally? So you can see on the screen here, we developed with our partners Adidas, the IHT Zone Monitor. It's the only wearable heart rate monitor made specifically for kids and for education. We spent about 18 months. We actually flew PE teachers to Germany to work with Adidas to develop this product. So from a sustainability, durability, simplicity standpoint, we really put a lot of effort into how can we make this a product that works with schools and is flexible to work within your program, not having you have to change your program for the technology or the device. We also were able to develop an app, and Lisa's going to talk about how important this is for our online programs. Lisa works both in schools and with with her virtual program. The app allows you to turn the monitor on and off through your phone, through a Chromebook, through any iPad, tablet, or iOS or Android smartphone. Those curriculum resources that I mentioned, Brandon's going to really go into that. But again, that's sort of the core of where our company started. And then the biggest thing is that professional development. So once you get our products, working with Brandon and our customer success team, Lois and Bev, Elizabeth, with making your rosters automated so you don't have to load your rosters in. So we really put a big emphasis on post-sale with our customers so that we can make sure to optimize that. We do have a really important purpose, and that is to empower students to self-manage their health and well-being through a daily, yearly assessment, accountability, and heart-centered learning process and that support. So when we give kids the opportunity to have a daily practice, we make it super simple for teachers, and then we have all this data to prove that we're showing student growth. That's when we know we're doing the purpose of our company. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to pass it now to our expert speaker, Lisa McVicker. And Lisa and I met back in 2011 when I first started the company. It was our very first year. And I went to Poudre School District and I made a presentation. Poudre School District got a big grant, and they were looking for ways to just really transform their program. And they thought IHT would be a good way to do that, to kind of connect all the dots with that vision. And today her program is one of the models in the country. So Lisa, if you want to kind of just talk a little bit about your program and take it from here.
Sure. So I serve two roles. I obviously teach as a classroom teacher, but in the summer and during the year, our district requires that every class have an online option for kids. And so our particular school has a pretty significant population of like the high flyers who want to pack in classes, maybe take PE over the summer because they want to take more AP or more concurrent enrollment classes. We do have a few kids who take it online as a credit recovery, but most of our kids are the really top academic students who are just wanting to get ahead. But both of those groups we found are not really maybe the kinds of students that participate in MVPA on a regular basis. So we know that we have to look at that and design a program that's really going to get them engaged. In the classroom, I use my IHT classroom set monitors, which I'll talk about in a minute, how we're kind of changing our take on that since we were supposed to be hybrid, we're not distance. But we feel like it's been a great tool in both settings for our kids, for sure. We offer basically lots of traditional things. Our PE1 class is sort of our introduction. That is offered online. Team sports, we offer a bunch of different weights classes. We have adventure PE. We have yoga, dance, integrated PE. We have lots of options. The only ones that are offered online are the PE1, and then we have a PEB, basically, which is the second class. Those are the only online varieties that we offer, but we are, like I said earlier, because of 2020 and its associated craziness, we are really able to use those tools in all settings. So we have, last spring, we obviously made a quick change to distance learning and all online. And luckily we were able to basically switch gears quickly with what we had set up for accountability in that online class to help us with all of our activity classes. So it made for an easy switch. We were supposed to start in a hybrid. We may end up face-to-face, but the best thing about the IHT technology is it works well in any of those structures. What we want to accomplish with kids can be done no matter how we are presenting, how we're working with kids, whether it's hybrid or face-to-face or some online, whatever it is, IHT really helps us get that done.
And Lisa, I just want to stop for 1 second because I know all of our teachers who are online and who will watch this recording afterwards are faced with the same challenges that you are. Like, how are we supposed to do this? So if you have questions, we want to make this really interactive. In the left-hand side, you'll see a button that says Q&A. If you please want to ask some questions to Lisa as we're going, don't save them to the end. We'll have some time for that. So if there's something that you really want to ask as we go through these slides, please put that in there and we'll make sure to address it when we get to it. So go ahead, Lisa, if you want to kind of continue with the framework of your program.
You bet. So now we are all distance learning. So today we once again have talked about how we can use, we've got little over 120 monitors that we have available to kids to check out. And so we are kind of changing our structure more to like that online variety because we know we won't see kids face to face, at least for a while. So we started, is that our next slide? Sorry, Jen. Oh, this is actually what kids will see when they open the app. If they are using the heart rate monitor, they will see this. This pops up. They download the app. And so they get started on that first little third of the screen. The second screen, they pick a group. We have a group for our online kids. We also have a different group for kids who are our traditional class students. So we know which group to find them in. And then the third image on the right, it's not actually ours. This looks maybe more elementary or middle school. But basically, we have lots of options in there for them. This one, the options are mile run, cops and robbers, juggling. Those would probably be more your in-class options. For our online kids, we have things like biking and hiking and running and all kinds of things, weightlifting, circuit training. So that's what they'll see. When a kid uses their heart rate monitor and starts a workout using their app, at the end, you can see where it says finish. It actually, each different activity, the teacher gets to design a goal. So how much of the time are you hoping that they spend in MVPA? In this one, you can see the goal was 85% yellow, which is in that moderate range, and 15% in the blue, or that easy range, we call it. You can see on the right, the actual time spent in there was 75% in the yellow and 20% in the red and only 5% in the blue, which is awesome for Clara. She did a great job. And then on the right-hand side, you can see her information, and it will also pop up and ask her for a quick, basically a little reaction. What's a little journaling, how they felt. We use a different system for collecting that reflection data just because not every single kid has a heart rate monitor, but we definitely value that piece of after the workout, reflecting on that. How was it? What happened? How you feeling? Kind of thing. And so this actually collects it all in one spot, which is great as a teacher to have it all there.
Perfect. And we do have a couple questions. We've got a great one about the CARES Act. Now, this funding has just come down the pipe. It is for obviously COVID relief, which is really geared around health and wellness. So schools are looking for a way to provide resources through especially technology to individualize, personalize, and impact the physical and emotional health of kids, which is exactly what IHT does. And can you talk, have you looked into your CARES funding? And I can comment as well, but do you want to answer that question about how this funding is perfect for virtual learning in IHT?
For sure. We actually had a similar thing that just passed in our district, but it was all bond money that was set aside for mental health. And so some of our people in our district use some, actually not for use in PE, as you know, but more of the trauma world and giving kids reaction on and feedback on their biometric data. They're, kind of using it like biofeedback with those kids. I do know that we've been lucky. We've had a little bit of money that we tucked away from summer school, but the CARES Act and the value on mental health for kids, I think, makes the argument perfect. And that's really kind of where our angle is this year. Is movement is great for your heart, but that mental and emotional piece to it is huge, especially given what kids are dealing with right now.
And I just want to show everybody, I've got the app up, I've got the monitor on, I'm just using my phone, and you can see here, I'm in the resting, I'm in the blue zone, just, it's the end of the day, I'm just chilling. And so when I hit the end button here, which again, this may be a little hard to see, I'm trying to get it, if I can get the angle right, you'll see 5 smiley faces and then a journal entry. So to be able to tap in how I was feeling, and as Lisa had said, to put in a journal entry here where I can just kind of write something in, and then to be able to capture that day to day. So that's what schools are looking for with the CARES funding and with Every Student Succeeds Act. Title IV. Shape America has a great blog on this, and we're going to send you some resources at the end of this with blogs and how do you access that. We've got a 2-page funding template that's like 90% ready to go. Just put your school logo on it, change it however you want to edit it, and bring that into your principal or your administrator tomorrow and say, listen, I saw this webinar. I think this would be perfect. We have a superintendent in New York who basically said IHT is the Chromebook of wellness. And so if we're spending money on one-to-one Chromebooks and iPads and laptops, why would your health not be just important, especially when we're sitting there for 8-10 hours a day online to get the kids moving, and then to be able to connect this back to Lisa's classroom, into your classroom. So to have monitors for every student is absolutely, we've got a lot of districts that are moving forward with that money, and we can definitely help you with that. The other thing was, a question was, can the mobile app work with Chromebooks? As I just mentioned, yes, it works with all tablets, iPad, Chromebook, and your smartphone. So very versatile, super easy to use, and we can certainly get you information on that. So Lisa, I want to just take you to the next slide of kind of where you started. If you want to just kind of talk a little bit about this next slide.
Sure. I don't even know how long we've had online PE offered for. A long time. Our district really values flexibility for kids. But our previous version of this class had really no accountability. Parents just signed off and said, you did X number of hours of activity. There was no indication of how hard they worked or that they even understood how hard they should be working. And so one of our big things was, how do we use technology to help them, hold them accountable, and to really document what they're doing with the focus on getting into that MVPA, how to make sure that you are working hard enough. And so at first we used a variety of apps. We gave kids a ton of options. Some of those didn't include a bunch of information, so it was kind of hard to know really what they were doing or maybe how hard they were working. And so it didn't take us very long to realize that the kids who checked out heart rate monitors from us, it was so much easier for them and for us as teachers. We loved feedback directly to kids. We loved being able to give very targeted feedback to kids based on that workout summary that you saw a couple slides back. I can look at that and see their workout and say, wow, this is great. You were exactly on target, or gosh, you spent a lot of time in the blue. Talk to me about that. What's going on and how do we get you more into that yellow and red zone?
Now, we just had a question. How do you really know that the student is actually wearing the watch and not his little brother? That sets up the next slide, student expectations on the next slide. Can you speak to that question of how do we hold this true?
We have joked about that and said, well, at least somebody's getting a good workout in their house. But we enter their data, so it is set for someone their age, their gender, with their input in there. And so, if it's somebody else, little brother or sister, their heart rate's going to be a little bit different. It would be pretty obvious, I think. Our expectations for our kids are to engage in about 60 minutes per day of MVPA. We do have fitness assessments. We pre and post test both in class and in our online modules. That is the expectation. And both classes have discussion boards, check-ins that are really designed to help that SEL part, the mental health, and basically sort of online discussions. Those reflection pieces, the goal setting, checking in, how are you doing? Are you getting what you want? And then, of course, the skills and knowledge. Do they have some skills? We want definitely to focus on those transferable skills that they can use basically to enhance their health forever. And that knowledge of how to take care of themselves and how to really take care of their body and their mind.
And you mentioned fitness assessments. So talk about the assessments that you've implemented on the next slide.
Yep. So IHT, when we're at school, we definitely use all of the traditional ones. It was hard last spring because we had done all of our testing. And then for a post-test, we didn't have kids in class. So we gave them the option of basically making their own fitness testing with Pacer, etc. And then we also allowed some other options basically that they could do on their own because we did have kids who didn't really feel comfortable leaving home. And so knowing there's some variation in cardiovascular endurance, making sure that we're capturing good data and giving them good feedback and they can use that to help set goals. Our testing is always cardio, strength, muscular strength and endurance, flexibility, and then we do height and weight and body composition as well, pre and post, just so they have, I think kids are usually really excited because most kids make progress and are proud at the end when they say, yeah, this is what I was able to accomplish and this is what my hard work paid off with.
And we've got another question, Lisa. This is going towards, I'll answer the first part of it. What's the turnaround of getting a large set of monitors? We're working right now with schools that are looking at 1,000, 2,000 monitors because of that CARES funding. Again, the funding is out there to the tune of $13 billion that's getting accessed to our schools around every state. So we have the inventory. We are working with schools right now. And again, we can certainly help you with that. The second part of this question is, when the kids get these, they train them back at the end of the year. Is that correct? Is that how your program works?
Yes.
And how do you, just like textbooks or any other technology, how do you handle making sure that those monitors are cared for? From our standpoint, someone like Brandon, who's going to talk about his resources, our customer success team, everyone is assigned a dedicated customer success person from IHT. If there's a monitor down, we have a 2-year warranty. So if there's any technical issues, we will replace it just like that. And maybe you can talk a little bit about the customer support that we provide, Poudre, in your school. And then also, how do you handle, from your standpoint, handing out devices to kids at home?
You bet. We developed our own little, it's basically a contract that students and parents fill out. It says all the same things, just like any other thing you would check out. If I lose it, if I break it, whatever it is, I'm responsible for replacing it. And so that we've only had, knock on wood, I had one kid who was kayaking and he fell in and he said his is broken. So he's replacing his, but we've actually had really good luck. And I can't say enough about the customer service at IHT. Anytime I have a question or I can't find something out, you make a phone call, someone answers right away, they get back to you right away, and I've never worked with a company that's so helpful, and they really go overboard in making sure that you have what you need and that you know how to use it. And I know I've asked the same question several times and no one ever says, okay, this is the third time you've called to ask where that is. They are awesome. And I can't say enough about that's not just give us your money and here's your heart rate monitors. They really are in there to help you be successful, and the constant professional development and all the support you give teachers is amazing.
And I'm going to just ask that to Brandon too. Brandon, who's part of our team now, but was a customer, and Lois Bauk works with you, Lisa, in our Colorado schools.
Yes.
And she asked you the questions before. She's amazing on our team. Brandon works with some of our other states, but Brandon, can you talk about that as a middle school teacher using our product and then now becoming part of our team? But what was the experience like, and how do you handle those tech issues as well from when you had the IHT monitors?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint with customer success, it's by far, I mean, the best experience I have, especially when you're dealing with technology. You're always going to have those hiccups along the way, and it's an up and down, no matter what it is. If it's a Chromebook, iPads, you're always going to have those things arise with students, especially in the PE field where we see so many kids, and you just it's one class right after the next. And so there's going to be some type of breakdown in your system, and it's having that safety net that's really nice, to where you can, you have them on the phone, you can email them, and they're going to be there to help you through those maybe struggles that you're dealing with. I mean, give you some ideas and suggestions. And to be honest, I mean, like I said, I used the system since 2015, and reason why I jumped out of education and into this field was because of the experience that I had with IHT. Not only do I believe in the product, I used it every day, and it was a game changer for my curriculum, but most importantly, I had the support all the way through. It wasn't, here, thank you for the money, here's your heart rate monitors, good luck and try it, try it your best. It was, we're here every step of the way. And so having that feeling when I working with IHT, that's what I want to bring to teachers that I work with in my states, is I want to be that safety net for them, and let them know I'm here for you no matter what. If it's, there's no silly questions. Feel free to get hold of me, and I'll help you through it as best I can, knowing that, you're going to have those from time to time. So by far, as a teacher, it was the best. And now as a customer success manager, I'm just trying to keep that tradition going.
And Brandon, our next question is from Mike. And basically, are there any updated activities, assignments that the students can do at home without the heart rate monitors? And Brandon is going to go into this whole thing. We have incredible resources for free where you don't need the monitors. It helps you just get started. And he's going to go into that in his section as soon as we get onto it. But wanted you to keep that in mind to make sure to answer that question of geared towards remote learning without the monitors. So let's send it back to Lisa, and let's talk about what are the changes that you're looking for in 2021.
You bet. You can see from my picture, this is from an adventure PE class that's out paddleboarding. We are really focused on kids are in a lot of different places. And so having a menu of options for kids, I had a student last spring who said, my dad's an epidemiologist at the university here, and he does not allow me to go out. So having things that kids can do at home with whatever they have, whatever equipment they have, having things, we live in Colorado, it's amazing here, having options outside for them, and options that look all different. So they have lots of opportunities to get into that MVPA, get a good workout in, but it's not the same thing every day. And so we're developing as a team a menu of options that look different for each of our classes. Obviously, Adventure PE is not going to look the same as our, PE1 options necessarily, but giving kids lots of choices because they need the exercise right now, especially with the amount of time we're spending online. And so getting them up and moving is really important, but giving them lots of options so that they feel like something works for them. We are utilizing some of our online materials that we've been using for years, which was really nice to have that to fall back on. It wasn't all from scratch. So we are using a lot of that. We definitely used all the activity logging straight from our online class. And so that was really good for us. When we went to the distance learning, we had that in place and were able to make it work for us right away. So that's been really good for us. And then we are going to go back and restructure the second online class, the PEB. We already, even without going back and changing the curriculum, changed how they log their hours for that to match everything else that we're doing, which is using some technology to basically be accountable for that and really just to show them what that feels like, what it feels like to get in that zone, what moderate feels like, what vigorous feels like, and what's too easy. Mix it up. We're asking them to get a variety, and that's a big piece of what we're asking for, is that there is some strength work, there is some flexibility things in there. It's not, I go running every day. What can you do to really look at that? And then paired with the SL stuff of reflection and really looking at how do I feel? And I shared my own with my class. When we went online, I did not make it as much of a priority to get up and move before that. And I was a miserable human to be around. So reflecting on that and saying, gosh, I need that. And not only do I need it before, but in the middle of the day, I need to get up and move around, because as a PE teacher, I was used to moving all day, every day. And so to suddenly be attached to my computer was really difficult. And hopefully I can use my own learning and struggles with that to help encourage our kids really to value that movement and how it really helps their learning, but really helps their mental health in this super stressful time for kids.
And just give us a quick, we've got 2 more slides just kind of on your program, but the impact in a couple bullets, the results that you've seen.
Actually, I was just talking with Jeannie Morgan over at Poudre the other day, and I think one of the biggest game changers for us is I used them first in my Adventure PE class, which is almost all seniors. They're in there to have a good time. We do great fun stuff. But when we are doing cardio work and when we're on campus especially, I would hook them up with the heart rate monitors and we're playing Ultimate, and to see kids who, look down and say, why is it still blue? What are you doing? And so instead of standing there, arms crossed, no one passes to me, all of a sudden kids are moving, whether they have the Frisbee or whether they have a ball, they're moving because they are trying to get into that zone and meet the goal for the day, which was a game changer for us. So instead of me nagging, hey, it doesn't look like you're working very hard, it took all of that away and put the ownership with them. And I used them in weights, especially on days we were doing circuit training, had a goal. And it was so nice for me not to have to nag as a teacher. Hey, I need you to pick it up. Hey, look where you're at. Do you need to make an adjustment? Okay, make that. And so I think that, in a nutshell, is really the biggest change for me.
And I just want to let everybody know I'm slacking. I'm just standing here.
Jen, I need you to move a little more.
I'm using more mental work. And then just some testimonials. What are the kids saying? Let's just go through a couple bullets.
Yeah, these were from my students. I actually asked them for feedback. What do you like about using the heart rate monitor? And they love that, first of all, it can be used with their phone because their phone is their life. And so it was easy. They liked that they could customize the workout based on their goal, how intense they wanted to be that day. Our kids have to show their workout summary, no matter what they're using. And IHT, super easy for them to get that, screenshot it, and load that up as their evidence. And they love that. It syncs. It's easy to keep track of their summaries. The zone giving continuous feedback by the different color heart zones, like Jen just showed, is life-changing as a teacher. And kids, I think, appreciate that. It's easy. I look down, oh gosh, I better pick it up a little bit. One student said it made it easy for me to see if I met my goals for my fitness plan that they had set. It made my workouts more effective because I knew how many calories I burned. I could see how hard I worked. And so that continuous feedback as a teacher is really hard to do with 40 students in a classroom or online when I'm not with you. And IHT, really, the zones give them that feedback for when you're not there every second of every day. But I have something in writing too that I can go back and say, gosh, you did a great job. Let's look at this. Or gosh, what happened at the end? It looked like, you fell off a cliff. Talk to me about that, And so it's really been great. And it's pretty obvious that kids really appreciate how easy it is and that it really helps them personalize the workout.
Yeah, and I think for all of us, when we can do what we love to do and we're able to do that, not only do we want to stay with it, but it provides the confidence that sometimes when you're among your peers, in Texas, we have classes that are 100 students in a class. And sometimes kids don't want to work out in front of that many kids, or it's hard to with the gym space. And to be able to give the opportunity to do what you want to do, if you want to go run the dog, play basketball, go play Frisbee golf, it allows our kids to love the movement, connect back to your class. And I think just one of the things people say, well, what's different between IHT and Fitbit or Apple Watch? Those devices can only connect to one phone. And so Lisa, our facilitators, our teachers can never see that data, but to be able to take the IHT monitor, centralized 200, 1,000 kids. We have a teacher that works with schools all across the state of Texas, and he lives in San Antonio, and he's able to see every single student from El Paso to Dallas to Louisiana, and his teachers as well. Are the teachers holding those kids accountable? As an administrator, he's able to do that. So I think to be able to centralize that data is what separates IHT from other devices. And then obviously we're 100% focused on understanding what teachers need. So it's not a consumer device. We know that, these aren't little adults. These are children and young adults that need a different approach to their learning and to teaching. So I'm going to pass it now. We have one more question, and I'm going to kind of go back to another one. One of the questions was, what's the glitch with Google Play and accessing the app on Chromebooks? Our tech department has not turned on Google Play. And I think one of the key words that you could say about IHT is flexibility. So we have tried to make this work with multiple devices. I mean, every single school district, and Poudre is maybe, I wouldn't say challenging, but certainly our unique one of trying to get through your student privacy and Colorado's privacy laws. And so to be able to work, I think, with each individual district, each individual school, Google Play, Apple, Android, Chromebooks, we've tried to develop something that can work with the multitude of what our schools and our states and our nation uses. So we can help solve that problem for you with a Google extension or a Chromebook extension. And then I'm going to bring this over to Brandon, who's going to kind of take our next part of the presentation about kind of going back to Mike's questions about, are there updated activities, assignments that the students can do from home without the heart rate monitors? So Brandon, why don't you kind of take it from here on some of the resources that IHT can provide that you guys will get as soon as this webinar is over?
Absolutely. Like Jen said, we do offer a online curriculum resources, and you will get this PowerPoint. So after this PowerPoint is over with, everything you see, you're going to have. And we have, at IHT, we have developed an online resource. It has 14 units. Here on this slide are all 14. Within each unit, these online units, there are about 4 to 5 lessons under that topic. So we're going to dive in just to a few of these. I'm just going to quickly show you what these look like. They are all PDFs. So the PDFs are writable or rewritable or fillable, however you want it, the system. And then from there, the students can type right over the top. So it's really nice. It kind of keeps that no pencil paper. If you're more than welcome to print them off, but if you have that capability where most of your students are learning not with a packet of worksheets, but they're learning virtually with complete technology, these PDFs allow you to do that. What we're also working on, we know that most states or most school districts are going to be virtual to start, or remote, or maybe a hybrid. So they are going to have kids at school and at home, or maybe just at home. So we also are putting together these YouTube videos that go along with these units. So they're on here as well. And these videos are a way to dive a little bit deeper into the unit, into the lessons within that unit. But there are also ways to get kids active. So there's a physical activity piece that goes along with these units. The great thing about these units, as you see here, you'll notice that they're either a lot of health topics or a lot of social emotional topics. So that's what's really nice is IHT, again, trying to take not just physical activity or physical education, but also putting that health there and also that social emotional learning as well. As we know as teachers, especially PE teachers, that's what we deal with a lot with students, is that social emotional piece. And so having that right into our curriculum just makes us more valuable as teachers. It's going to, if we can show that not only are we teaching kids how to be physically active and learning that physical literacy, but also when we can show that we also are impacting their social emotional, it just really builds our resume as teachers, and that we are a true standalone and we shouldn't be cut because we do lots of different things within our classes that teaches students how to be good people. So within these units, I'm going to dive in just a few. So I'm going to get out of this PowerPoint real quick. I'm going to dive into Unit 1. And Unit 1, again, these are all PDFs, and you'll have these resources. You'll get this PowerPoint that has these links. So Unit 1 is Start at the Heart. And you'll see right here in blue, this is how many lessons are within Unit 1. And so it basically, as you scroll through, they're worksheets that kids can fill out. So what I use Google Classroom with my kids, with my middle school kids, so I could download this. I can put it right into my Google Classroom as one of my units and have them fill out these PDFs and then turn them into me. And what I love about these lessons is a lot of them are self-reflecting. So it's a lot of reflection pieces. It's not like just fill in the blanks. It's a lot of how do you feel? What are some goals? A lot of questions that get kids to just start reflecting on versus doing a lot of research on. So this is just one about short-term, long-term goals. Kids will go through here and fill these out. Again, gives them a little bit of information about the heart and what it's about, how the heart works, and then gives them a picture, and then there'll give some questions about, here's a little bit, okay, here's the article about the heart. Now here's some things we want you to fill out. So again, some check for understanding with the graphics in here that kids can label. I'll go to Unit 2 so you can see that. Unit 2 self-awareness unit. There are 5 lessons as well. And so as you scroll through, again, right off the bat, they're going to get a reflection worksheet. It's going to give them a little bit of information, a little starter, and then how do you feel? What are you passionate about? How do you find something that gets you passionate about certain things? So things that they can just type on. Again, these are writable or fillable, so you can just type right into these blanks. And then here's a graphic organizer, who you are, who am I? And then gives them an example of, like, you could do one as a teacher, put it on your Google Classroom, and then you can give them this sheet here where they fill it out on their own. So again, a great way to include that social emotional piece, but also doing some health lessons. And then with our video lessons, getting some physical activity in there as well. That we're putting together the more and more of our library to kind of bulk that up within each unit. The last one I want to just quickly show, this one's stress. So this is a stress unit. Again, set up very similar. This one has 4 lessons within the stress unit. And again, you can scroll down. You can pull pages out. So let's say I don't want to do all of these for stress. I want to just pick a couple of these. You can do that and just assign page by page, or you can say this is the packet that I want you to fill out. So really how you want to structure your class and how you want to do that is really flexible. So you can plug and play with what you're already doing with your curriculum, or you can say, I know I have some teachers love this and they're just using it as units, as a packet. So they're putting them almost like, here's for week 1 and 2, you need to do Unit 1, and they give them the packet and everyone can do it at their own pace. So they're letting kids kind of do, if they can get it done, great. If it takes them a few days or a couple weeks, they're kind of giving them that all. And then I have some teachers that are just giving them bits and pieces as they go. So, however it works best for your environment, but they're all right here. And again, we have 14 of these. We have 14 of these units, all the way, like I said, from health types of things to social emotional types of things as well. And then we'll also has a little bit of physical activity in here. So it's kind of the total package in the sense of kids getting a little bit of each of those modes. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to resources that we put together are some Google Suite. So if you are using like a Google Classroom, or you're using your school as a Google Apps for Education school, then we have some things that we've created that kind of helps students track. And so using Google Forms and Google Drawings and Google Slides, the slide decks there that allows kids to create things, or at the same time you putting things out for a survey or for a journaling, Google is a great way to do that. And so I'm just going to show you some of the things that I did with my middle schoolers that I put together. And I wasn't online at that time, of course. We weren't going through a pandemic at that time, but we did do a lot of things through Google Classroom because my goal as a middle school teacher, especially in PE, was to make sure my kids are doing things outside of my gym or outside of my four walls. I wanted them to have a good understanding of that. So we did lots of tracking. And then now where we're at, where most kids are going to be at home, tracking might be, or not just tracking, but maybe journaling is a very important piece for kids to do. So I'm going to go through some of these with you real quick. So I'm going to go through the teen survey. Now this survey, I'm going to just give you a little background of this. So when I taught middle school, I had we used to have a health standalone class, which meant all we did was health for seventh graders. It was every day for 9 weeks. We got them for 48 minutes, and they chopped that about 4 years ago. And they said, we're not giving you health anymore as a standalone class. We're going to fill it with something else, but we still want you to do health within your other classes. So we had a fitness class that we taught. We felt like our fitness class was pretty rigor, and our curriculum was pretty full. And we didn't know where to fill in health. It was going to be really hard for us to do that. We had 60 kids in a class. It's going to be really hard for us to really be effective teachers in that environment. So we completely went away from in the classroom health. We went completely online. We did an online unit, our online health class through Google Classroom, but our curriculum was based on not a textbook. It was kids. And what I mean by that is we had our kids take a survey right off the bat at the beginning, the first day of school, and we had them take this survey. No names attached to this Google form, but we wanted to get an idea about what our kids were doing. And so this wellness assessment is very lengthy, but it covers a lot of topics. So I'm just going to quickly scroll through and just kind of show you a little bit of these questions. So we have a physical activity topics where it's just about physical activity. I'm going to keep scrolling. We have a nutrition piece where it talks about, do you eat breakfast in the morning? Do you skip breakfast more than once a week? Did you eat lunch today? So just some questions about nutrition and how they're eating. Are they taking energy drinks? Are they, we also get into vaping. We get into general wellness. Do you wear a seatbelt? Do you wear a helmet when you ride your bike? These questions, we just, do you have people that help you with your homework at night? Just really questions about their general wellness, and then we get to some stress. So they're going to answer these questions about stress. I'm going to keep scrolling again. This is very lengthy, but what we wanted at the very end of it, we gave them a chance to kind of give their own questions. Like, is there anything we missed? So we said, if we didn't ask anything, what should we ask? And so we gave them this survey, and what from the survey results built our curriculum. So as I scroll back up to the top, I'm going to show you how we did that as a department. In this Google form, you're going to get responses, and in this responses, there was 354 responses of our kids that filled this out. And what Google Forms can do is it can break it down into percentages and charts. And so we can see where we were looking for were like trigger points that were very scary for us as we were looking through this data, like things that kids didn't really truly understand. So we could go through here and look at, how much time are they spending? Are they being physically active? What's the percentage here? If we see a lot of our kids are not being physically active for 60 minutes a day, why maybe that's something we need to talk about health-wise. I'll give you a quick example. We saw that there was a huge increase of kids drinking energy drinks. And so we did a health lesson over what energy drinks do to your body. Not only does it what it does to your heart, but also what it does to your body overall. So we built a curriculum on what our kids were doing at that time. Again, I'm not a big guy about filling things with fluff. I'm really doing something that's pertinent for kids, because that's what's really going to give them buy-in if they're really kind of interested. Because as we know as teachers, kids think what they read or what their friends tell them is true. And we know that that's not always the case. And so it's taking it's taking this information that we're building a curriculum to that. And so this is, again, have this, if this is something that interests you, then you can you can have it and make it your own. You can you'll make a copy of it, and then you can add questions or delete questions or add, or however you want to develop it to make it best for your environment. The next one is a journal. Okay, the next one is a journal. Can everyone hear me okay, Jen? Because
yeah, it's
cut out.
Can you hear me? It might be breaking up just a little bit, but
okay.
Yeah. So, but I think we're getting the majority of it. Sorry for those couple of technical audio issues on Bluetooth.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, keep going.
Perfect. So the next one is a physical education fitness journal. And so these are what kids would fill out for us outside of our classroom. So they would come in here and put their name and the hour that they have us in class. And then on Monday, we would have them say, okay, what do you do for Monday? We teach the 5 health-related fitness components. That's a big thing that we want our kids to know by the time they leave us. And so we always prompt them with that. We want them to know what those are. So they're going to select that. And they can select more than once. They might be working on multiple, which is great. Then they're going to type in what type of exercise they did and then how long they did it for. So then they'll put the duration and then they reflect on it. Here's how I felt. And then they do that for Tuesday and then all the way for the whole week. And then once they're done, they submit it. And then I, as the teacher, get all those responses. Then I can see how my kids are doing for that week. And if they're getting that physical activity. And again, I just tell my kids to be honest. I mean, if you only were able to get 15 minutes, put 15 minutes. Just try building that culture of understanding and trust is very hard. It's not easy. I do admit that, but it's one of those things that we definitely strive for. So this is a fitness education fitness journal that is on that PowerPoint as well. The next one is more of a cardiovascular log. So we use this for kids when we're working on cardio days. So we wanted them to do cardio outside of class. So we would have these cardio logs, and these cardio logs weren't going to be every day. We only had them do cardio maybe once or twice a week, so that they wanted them to do that. So this is the way they would fill us out. I'm going to just go back to the preview so you can see. So they would put the date in. This is the date I did it. What did you do? You could do cardio lots of different ways. It didn't have to be running, but we give them some examples. How long did you run for, or how long did you do your cardio for? What location? And somebody asked me, why do you put location? And it was really important for us to get an idea where our kids were being active, because that was one thing we could bring up in our classes. Like, hey, a lot of kids are going to the park, or hey, a lot of kids are going here. Gives us an idea where our kids are being active, and also lets us broadcast that, and maybe that would be an option for other kids to do. So it's really kind of important where our kids are being movers. And then the intensity level. How intense was this? Is this just a 1, or was this an all-out workout? Was this a 10? And then any type of observations that they could tell us. Hey, I wasn't feeling very good today, or hurt my leg. Hey, I felt pretty good. I was tired, but now I feel better. So whatever they wanted to tell us about it, this is their chance to do that and reflect. So I'm just going to show you a quick what it looks like from a teacher perspective. So here's 158 responses. So here's the dates. Kind of tells me on the 30th, 2 kids did it. On this date, 17 kids filled one out. But here's the exercises. So as a teacher, I can go through here and see what my kids are doing. Riding my bike, playing basketball, running, jogging in my neighborhood.
Hey, Brandon. You're breaking up just a little bit, and I'm so glad I'm unfrozen on the video. But can you repeat just the last little bit, because I think you were breaking up just a tiny bit.
Sure. So when you go to responses, if this is where I left off, if you go to responses, then from the cardio log, you can see where your kids are exercising. And then they put in their duration and then their location of what they're doing. Backyard, at home, at the park, at my house, so in my garage. So you can see these different areas, and then these intensity levels, you can see how much are your kids being intense. So you can see that 23% of these kids are at about 5, or at about a 5. So anyway, you can see this from a total perspective, and the observations are kind of fun to look at. So you can see, I'm out of breath, felt like my legs hurt, I felt tired. So you can see how they're feeling this. And this is, again, seeing it from a view of the overall, but if you wanted to, you can have this in Excel or a spreadsheet, Google Sheet, that has them individually broken down by kid, more specific to that. So that's a cardio log that is on there as well, on the PowerPoint. Here's a Google slide that I found, and I thought this was really cool to do online or remote, where you can share this in your Google Classroom. And these are just running GIFs of someone exercising that you can have kids play a game with. What I did with this one was I found a virtual dice that came along with Google Classroom. And so the kids would open up the virtual dice website, and I would tell them that they have to roll the dice 10 times, and then they would do the exercises that's on the dice. So if they rolled a 5, they would do 5 mountain climbers. And so they would do this 10 times, and then after the 10th time, I had them quickly videotape or take a picture of them doing their favorite exercise on this Google Sheet. And that's on there as well.
Perfect. And we again apologize for the technical glitches on here, but hopefully you can hear Brandon okay. And I know you got a couple more slides, or any final thoughts, Brandon?
Just real quick, one of the questions was, how do you know if they're really wearing it? And I think, one of the things that IHT does a really good job of is again, connecting teachers with the students and with the parents, and making that more of a triangle of communication. And so getting your parents involved with what your kids are doing online and remote, I think, is really important. Getting them on that page with you as a teacher will be helpful when you go through those battles of what your kids are or not doing. And so I think it's important that you don't lose sight of that, and that when you're developing something, make sure your parents are informed and they know the expectation of your student. That might help you through that process.
Lisa, any final thoughts on kind of some of the resources or any other things that you can comment on Brandon's slides?
Well, I forgot until he just said that. We do have parents' emails in there. So parents do, when kids get done working out, it does send a copy of that information to parents, which is awesome, because then they do know what kids are doing in class. So that's a huge piece. But I appreciate how many resources, and that you're not asking to pay for this or pay for that. It's stuff you guys are putting out there for teachers to use, because it's awesome. And just what you guys do is great, and the support for teachers is great. I think it's wonderful, and I appreciate it for sure.
Well, I wanted to say we learned from all of our teachers. We sort of, listen and grow, and listen as grow as a company. But Lisa, you and Jeannie and your entire team in Poudre have helped us grow tremendously. You have our emails here on this last slide. We really appreciate to reach out, ask more questions. All of these resources are going to be emailed to you. All of the links Brandon shared, just go ahead and copy them, make them your own. And we've got tons more, so make sure to sign up for our emails. We've got incredible blogs. We've got a great blog on Fossil Ridge. Lisa's program that will really inspire you will be included with this webinar. And we just want to really appreciate all of you being a part of this. And we have a webinar scheduled once a month on all different topics. Our next one will be in September. It'll be on social emotional learning. How do you use the monitors to help kids in the moment self-regulate their emotions? So as they're having an emotional episode, stress and anxiety, the monitor also provides real-time feedback that helps them get back down into that normal range. And so that's going to be our next webinar. Make sure to look for that. And Lisa, we just thank you so much for being our expert speaker today and one of our most inspiring teachers that we've learned and grown from.
Thank you.
And Brandon, thank you so much for your resources as well. Thank you guys all for being here, for everything that you do as teachers for children and families across the country. And we wish you the best of luck as we navigate this fall together. Have a great night.